to P. Yep. And it said side length is directed to P when equal to N to O. I don't know that it's exactly equal. Draw a line from P to F. So the next thing we needed to do was, so we have P over here, and we needed to draw a straight line to that 3/16 drop to F. So that's the last thing they tell us to do for figure 3. And then it starts with figure 4. It starts with figure 4, and that instruction tells us, let me turn it so it's good for the camera. So after it tells us to draw a line from P to F, just a straight line, then it starts in with figure 4 and tells us to draw P to Q, which is what you guys were saying is what is Q, right? Mm-hmm. I see Q now. I'm looking at the right figure. So Q is a dot on that straight line that we just drew, and it's going to tell us where our dart leg is going to be. So we already drew F, which is dart placement for one of the dart legs, and now we're going to draw Q, which is going to give us an idea of where to place the other dart leg. So basically, that is similar-ish to what we did on the skirt, where it was waist arc plus darts plus ease. It's kind of that same idea, but what we're going to do on this, because we already drew F, which is dart placement 3, we're going to take the waist arc plus ease minus dart placement, and we're going to draw from P in towards Q. So waist arc is 7 plus 1/4 inch ease minus 3 inches for dart placement. So from P, we're going to draw a line in towards F, but it's not going to reach it, and that'll be Q, and we'll draw that line 4 1/4 inches. So you just take your ruler. Oh, I see where these big numbers are helpful. Yep. I'm like, I don't know how I feel about these big numbers, but for you guys, this is really helpful. So I'm going to put my 4 1/4 mark on P. I'm going to try. It's hard to do upside down with stuff underneath your paper. So I put my 4 1/4 mark on P, and I'm going along that straight line that I drew to F, and I mark on that line 4 1/4 towards F. So where the end of my ruler is, I make a mark there. And that's going to give me a guideline for where it's Q, and it's going to give me a guideline for where I'm going to put the other dart leg. So then it tells us to draw the dart legs, which is fine, but I usually don't draw the dart legs until I'm ready to really draw the dart legs. So they want you to draw the dart legs all the way up to the bust point, but ultimately your dart isn't going to go all the way to the bust point, so they have you draw the dart legs and then draw them again the right way. That's fine, you can do that, but I'll just tell you what I do. What I do is, now I didn't write Q, but I'll write Q on there now. So Q. So what I do is I fold the paper so that Q touches F to find the middle of the dart. If I could see it. There it is. So where Q touches F, and I just put them on top of each other. I have extra lines. And then I just crease the paper so I can find the middle of the dart on that straight line that we drew from P towards F, and then we placed Q on that line. So I just want to crease through that line. I don't need it all the way up. I just need it through that line. That gives me the middle of the dart. Then I take my ruler and I put it on that crease, which should be the middle of the dart, and then I aim it at K, or in our case, our K1, which is our more accurate bust point. And I just draw a line from K straight through the middle of the dart to even pass the line that we drew from P to F, where Q also resides. And then it tells you that the dart is going to end 5/8 of an inch below the bust point. So on that line that I just drew, I put my ruler, the 5/8 mark on my ruler on K1, and I make a mark 5/8 of an inch down from the bust point. So right there. So this is K1. I measured down 5/8 of an inch and I made a mark. And that's where I put my ruler to draw my dart leg to F and to Q. Does that make sense?
Can you say it one more time?
Sure. Where do you want me to start?
With K1 and going
Okay.
down.
So I put my ruler on K1, the 5/8 of an inch mark on K1, and then along that long line that I drew through the middle of the dart, I measure down 5/8 of an inch and I make another cross mark on that line. Then I put my ruler on the cross mark that's 5/8 of an inch from my bust point and on F, and I draw a dart leg. So and I even extend it past the waistline. And then I pivot my ruler, and I still have my ruler on that 5/8 of an inch mark that I dropped from the bust point, and I draw a line through Q, and that's my other dart leg. So now I have a dart. And then I need to draw the waist. So just like we did for the skirt, I take the dart leg that's closest to the center front, and I crease it. And then I want to bring F over to meet Q, or those lines. F and Q won't be at the same level, but I want this line to touch this other dart leg line. And so when I'm doing that, it's not flat anymore. It's no longer 2D, it wants to be 3D. So what I do is I cup the pattern. So I can cup it down over the corner of the table. I see you're moving out of the way. Or if I do it the way I normally would, I'd block the camera, so I'll spin it around. I can put my finger in the dart point and I can cup it up. So now you can't see it, but maybe the camera can.
Camera's got it.
So I can cup it up or cup it down over the table. And then what I want to do is I want to take my variform curve or my hip curve, or even your French curve might work. You might have to shift it though. So this is my favorite one. I like this one. I put the flat end closest to the center front, and the curved end goes towards the side seam pointing down away from the neck. So I'm going to put it like if I have it up against me, it goes like that. So the flat part towards the center front and the curved part towards the side seam pointing down towards the floor. So I nestle it in there. Now from B, center front, going towards that first dart, that straight line stays straight for like at least 1/4 of an inch, but it could be more. And then, so you don't even need to draw the curve from the center front. You connect with that line 1/4 of an inch away, 1/2 an inch away, even 3/4 of an inch away from center front. And then what you want to do is you want to nestle your curve in that space so that it's touching the line that's extending from B, and it's touching the dart leg lines, but not at the line you originally drew from P to F, because that's straight and we're drawing a curved line. So it's near it, but not on it. And then you want to touch the line that we drew from P to N, that little 7/8 stick out. Pop this up. So it can be flat here. I want it to touch these dart legs somewhere, and I want it to get really close to N, but from P to N, that whole thing can stay straight, but at least from P going in towards N, it should still be at a right angle for 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 of an inch. So I want to touch this line. I want to be really close to this point. I want to touch these dart legs somewhere, and I want to touch this B, this line from B, but not right at the corner. So I fold my dart, I can tape it, cup my pattern, and then nestle my curve in there until I hit all those points. And I think the way I'm holding it now, it would be better if I cupped it down. When I do it, I normally have it towards me, but then you can't see. So if I nestle it like this, I can do it, but then you can't see what I'm doing. So I'll fold it over the table. And you can, I don't know, your book might work too. Like you can fold it over your book, but it might not be deep enough. So now,
Taylor's hands are good for it too.
but then they're hard to draw on.
That's also true.
And the book too, that's why I think it's maybe not big and like not deep enough, because then you have like this ledge that you're trying to. So you just kind of like carefully fuss with it. You know, I told you my surfing ruler kitten story. You're making it very enticing for a kitten to come and surf on it. Okay, because you're just like scoot, scoot just a little bit. And then once you have, so it's touching, it's not touching B, but it's touching the line that extends from B. And then there's a bit of a distance, maybe about 1/4 of an inch, maybe 5/16 from Q to where the ruler touches. And then it's really close to the N dot, but it finally touches on the line where from P to N, and then it veers away from the actual P. And that's fine because I want that to be straight right there. And then I'll draw my curve in for my waist. Let me just mess with it just a little bit more until I get something that... So there's more curve towards the side seam. I think I can live with that. Just need to scoop that down a little bit to accommodate my pencil width. This is awkward. There we go. So this becomes this dropped line here is the one that I want. It goes up a little higher here, but that's the one that I want. That original straight line is not what I want, so I'm going to kind of scribble through it. So when I unfold this, you can tell. And then underneath this, there's some dart shaping happening. So I'll get like some layers of paper, or I'll get out a cork board and my tracing wheel, and I'm going to draw on the curve line that I just drew with my pencil and my curve. I'm going to go over that with the tracing wheel and trace the part where the dart excess is folded under it. I'm going to trace through that dart excess so that I get that seam shaping for the curve. So I'll draw over that, and then I'll true that with my pencil. Does that make sense? And then I'll let you do that. It'll take you a few minutes, and then we'll talk about doing the armhole next. Okay?